About a half hour later, the phone rang. It was Sue Tricas. Sue and I hadn't talked for years. Many, many years. Thought she hated me. She thought I hated her. She didn't want to make that call. You could tell. And I can't remember exactly what was said, but it was something to the effect of, if somebody would call you, would you talk to them? And I said, well, yeah, and there were a couple of other calls, and they were all pretty much basically the same thing. If somebody would call, would you take the call? And so I knew that there was a strong possibility, a fair possibility, that something might be worked out with WFLA, but I'm a wounded whale on the beach. Got to be real careful in situations like this. Don't want to, give yourself up too cheaply, whatever. My wife came home that night. The WSUN Christmas party was scheduled for the next Friday, December the 8th. And we didn't want to go. I'm not into Christmas parties, staff office Christmas parties. They're more trouble than they're worth, to tell you the truth, and absolutely no good can come from them, and a great deal of bad can. And we had talked about it, and Mary had just gone out and bought a new dress for it that weekend. And so when she came in the house and she came out into the kitchen and put her stuff down on the counter, I said, well, I got some good news, honey, and I got some bad news. And she said, what? What's happened? And I said, well, the good news is we don't have to go to their goddamn Christmas party. And she let out a screech. And she started screaming, saying, oh, no, 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 oh, no. And she ran from the room. Mary is the farmer's daughter. Sensible woman. Thrifty. She's been in this business and around this business for a long, long time. But still, when things go wrong, it bothers her very, very much. I remember that night very well. See, that night wasn't necessary. Because if you'll remember, several months earlier, I had asked, let's do this in a dignified adult way. And they wouldn't give me the answer, remember? I remember. I remember my wife sitting on the couch, screaming and holding her head, and just saying over and over and over again, oh no, oh no, oh no. See, in the 3 years that I've spent at WSUN, I had made many, many, many adjustments to my act. I first of all had to adjust to doing mornings when I'm not a morning man. And bitterly disappointed all the people that remembered me from when I was here before, who thought I was going to come back and do the liberal monologues. Well, you don't do liberal 2-hour monologues at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I had to learn to work between the Bunyan Brigade and the Psychic on one of the most appalling mishmashes of a station I've ever had the displeasure of being affiliated with. It was fun to work there, but I had pretty much destroyed myself. All the things that I was able to do well, I couldn't do there. It wasn't the kind of radio station, it wasn't the kind of audience. No longer was I hot and in demand. There wasn't any place for me to go. What, I was going to send somebody a tape of my squeak toy? And talking to Sharon about her Thanksgiving turkey? Wouldn't have played too well in Indianapolis. That's what was scaring Mary, and that's what was scaring me. I'd done everything for them, and they didn't have the decency to tell me it was over. And then the man that decided to pull the plug didn't have the decency to look me in the face and tell me. The next 2 months were hell. Mary went into an incredibly deep depression. And I went into an incredibly deep depression. I thought I'd never work again. Everything I had worked for was now in jeopardy. There was no place to go. Oh, there were occasional contacts with the people over here. And it was always things like, well, Gabe will call you in about a week, and a week could come and go, and there was no Gabe. And I was too proud to call in. And Christmas came. And we decorated the house, and we bought each other presents. It wasn't quite as good a Christmas as usual, but it wasn't bad. But I couldn't take the Christmas tree down. Christmas tree normally goes up 1 week before Christmas and comes down exactly 1 week after, and not this year. I couldn't take it down. Do you know why? I was afraid it was my last Christmas. I was afraid it was my last Christmas in that house that I'd come to love. That I could not afford. And the day that we finally did take that tree down, I cried. For 30 goddamned hours, Todd. I cried. I was positive. I was taking down my Christmas tree for the last time. 3 weeks before Christmas, a week after, I got blown out at SUN. I invited Tommy out to lunch. And we had a good lunch. And at the end of it, I handed him a letter. I said, would you please give this to Todd? And in the letter it said, Todd, there are things in life that you don't always understand how important they are to you until they're no longer available to you. Something that has come to mean a great deal to me. It's a silly thing. It's my Christmas show. I understand that I am under a non-compete. But would you give me permission to do that show on another radio station? I will not accept any money for it, but I would like to do my Christmas show. Time is of the essence. Could you please get back to me as soon as possible? A day went by, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. He never got back to me. Todd has a fax machine sitting on his desk, and I had the phone number. I wrote him one of the most brutal one-paragraph notes that you can begin to imagine. I have a copy of it. I should have brought it in tonight. I have to just kind of remember what it said. But it was devastating. It said, in essence, Todd, I'm 50 years old. I'm out of work and I'm scared. I asked you if I could do my Christmas show and you didn't have the decency to respond. What did I ever do to you to deserve this? And I said it. It was about 9:30 in the morning. And I sat there, expecting the phone to ring. It didn't. At about 5:15 that afternoon, the phone did ring, and I picked it up, and it was Tommy Palavita. I can't say for sure. But I kind of suspected that there was somebody standing next to him. Tom said that he was calling on behalf of Todd, and that they would not be able to give me permission to do the Christmas show because, hey, business is business. Unless I wanted to forfeit the remainder of my pay, which was something in the neighborhood of $25,000. This is a couple of days before Christmas. I wasn't happy about the fact that gutless bastard Todd Lassiter didn't have the balls to call me and tell me that, but made some poor man who had no say whatsoever in the decision do it.